Clement pushed back his jacket sleeve and stared at the reddish-purple scar. While the injury had healed, the memories were still raw. He'd survived. That was all he needed to remember. He lifted his head and gazed at the clear evening sky, breathing in the heady scents of the season. The panacea of spring in Oxfordshire was beginning to take effect on his subconscious, and with the warmer days had come calmer dreams. The telephone ringing interrupted his thoughts, a persistent noise bringing him back from the past. Hurrying, he ran into the house and along the front hall, then lifted the telephone receiver. "Would I be speaking to Reverend Clement Wisdom?" a male voice asked. "Speaking," Clement said. He felt a wave of relief. It wasn't the call he was expecting. "How can I help you?" "Clement, this is Superintendent Arthur Morris, previously Chief Inspector of Lewis Police. I am sorry to disturb, but I think I may need your help." Clement's mind went back to other times, and Fernley Morton, his former home in East Sussex. Even though almost a year had passed since he'd last seen Morris, Clement found himself smiling. "You knew where to find me then, Arthur?" "One of the benefits of being a policeman, Clement." "Congratulations on your promotion. Are you in need of a clergyman?" "Not exactly." Morris paused. "I was wondering if you are still acquainted with certain persons in Whitehall." Clement's smile faded. "I'll take your silence as a yes," Morris said. "Could we meet, preferably somewhere outside Oxford?" "When did you have in mind?" "Would tomorrow suit?" Clement thought for a moment. Yes, I can do that." "Do you know the public house called the Trout at Godstow?" "I do." "Shall we say midday?" "Tomorrow then, Arthur." Clement replaced the telephone receiver. He had of course expected a call, but the caller was a surprise. Standing in his front hall, he visualized Arthur Morris, the relaxed, authoritative manner and quiet demeanour. Clement remembered the last time he'd seen Morris, and for a moment he was back on the pebbled beach in the dark, only the English Channel between them and the enemy. Clement swallowed, his mind on the past. It had been the waiting he'd found most difficult then, not knowing whether either of them would still be alive when morning came. That mission had been successful, but the victory had been soured by the revelation of the unexpected traitor. It had been the last painful piece of the puzzle Arthur Morris had helped him to unravel. And now Morris was asking for help again. Clement felt a frown crease his brow. He wondered what could be troubling the superintendent enough to make contact, and yet, despite the bitter memories, Clement liked Morris and looked forward to seeing the man again. They were about the same age and shared a similar past. Both had had fathers who'd been vicars, both were now widowers, and neither had had family. Clement sauntered into his kitchen and stared through the window at the vibrantly coloured crocuses flowering beneath the trees. He shivered, the action involuntary. Despite the tragic experiences with Morris and his picturesque garden, it was the more recent memory of his mission to far northern Scotland that could, in an instant, turn his blood to ice. He lifted his gaze and stared into the sky. The setting sun was highlighting the tree-tops. The translucent light of evening was descending. He continued to stare, but he no longer saw its loveliness. A month in the relative safety of Oxford had made him almost forget that he was still an officer in His Majesty's Special Duties branch of the Secret Intelligence Service.